Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our ETRAGE webinar on engineering change notices and bill of materials. For those of you who are new to our webinar, welcome. Note that everyone is muted. If at any point during this webinar you have a question, please use that Q&A icon, and we will address those questions towards the end of the webinar. You will be able to find a recording of this webinar on our ETRAGE YouTube channel, but we will reach out after the webinar once the link is available and send that to you. I am Sinead, and with me today is Ephraim, who will be leading our demo. We have both been in the PTC and PLM space for over a decade. I would say that we both enjoy helping people define their business challenges and present appropriate solutions. So today I'll go through a quick welcome and introduction to ETRAGE for those of you who are unfamiliar with us. And then I'll hand things over to Ephraim, who will go through what and the whys of ECNs and BOM management, as well as actually showing what that looks like in Windchill and our ETRAGE software. And then as time allows, any questions that you guys have, we will happily answer in real time. So for those of you unfamiliar with us, ETRAGE is a global company with over 20 years of experience in helping with PLM adoption. We really look at moving beyond engineering and helping companies move their PLM throughout the entire enterprise. For most companies, this adoption is not a one-time event, but it is strategic and ongoing. So their adoption is truly about a continuous improvement of their organization. And of course, that plan adjusts over time. As a PTC technology partner, we continue to develop solutions as well as support Creo and Windchill as companies continue to move towards a complete digital footprint and away from paper and siloed database. So we do this by focusing on PLM adoption that addresses the systems, management, and end users' needs. And we do this for all size companies that design and manufacture products. ETRAGE helps to eliminate data silos by integrating legacy data that perhaps lives in multiple systems. We do this by supporting standardization and automation to help streamline management. We do this by enforcing data governance and addressing scalability as your employee base grows. So to help companies move past uncertainty, ETRAGE provides both software and services to streamline their product development and manufacturing. As you can see on this list, we do have quite a few of our own software solutions. If you're interested in learning more, we do have past webinars that are available on our website as well as our YouTube channel. And then we do Windchill services. So we'll be looking at that today as we look at how to eliminate silos by examining expanding visibility for engineering change notices, ECNs, and bill of materials, BOMs, in multiple ways. That can be from setting it up in your Windchill environment to pulling that information out of Windchill and expanding visibility through our ETRAGE software solutions. So with that, I will hand it over to you, Ephraim.
Thanks, Sinead, and welcome everybody. These are the topics that we will go through today. Just talk a little bit about engineering change notice, and then we'll look at the BOM management and go through different ways that the BOM is actually managed and tracked. in the systems. So we know that it is inevitable that every product development will undergo a change, either in the design phase, which is best placed to handle the change early on in the process, or it is in the manufacturing phase, which is normally a little expensive change to do at that time because it can easily lead to delays. So delaying your product going out the door, and also lead to scrap, which will also cost a lot of money and delays as well. So handling the change process in a more streamlined and enabling visibility to all who are affected by change is very important. Windchill ECN is a correct tool to drive this process and captures all the information necessary for the change to be executed and documented properly for traceability and for audit purposes. So at any time, if I'm looking at this change, I should be able to see what the change was about, who executed this change, and who's actually signed off on this change. So the bill of material, or BOM as it's normally known, it enables diverse BOM structures for different departments, ensuring traceability and visibility across all parts. This covers the CAD, which is the 3D parts, and the electrical components, which are electrical components and mechanical components that goes with that. And it could also include manufacturing parts, and then things like processes and resources that are actually can be set downstream. It also provides a robust change management and traceability, making sure that you also able to manage your suppliers in the system against those components, assisting you to easily identify the approved suppliers or the approved vendors for that particular part or product, and also optimizing the downstream utilization of BOM, making sure that information is available downstream, is linked. If something changes upstream, it flags the downstream, which is very important to make sure that the data that you're working with, it is always up to date. And then for the other departments like purchasing department, they should be able to generate latest released BOM reports that they can use to purchase material or components. So in the CAD BOM, information is normally stored in drawing BOM tables with callouts to reflect the components names by those numbers. The BOM nodes are also used in drawings to capture additional manufacturing information that's normally not captured in the bill of material table. So with this sort of information, the problem with getting this information from the CAD application is that there is no certainty that this is the latest and the released information. And normally your source for this information would normally be someone in the engineering team. They might be working in Creo, and then you want this bill of material or a drawing, they simply go in and print that drawing from the Creo session and give it to you. And as soon as you walk out the design office door, they've already made changes or started making changes to that model. So that information that it's coming directly from engineering or from the CAD is not always reliable or latest and greatest. So the EBOM, or engineering bill of materials, that is also known as the as-designed bill of materials, reflects the product's engineering design, which is primarily driven by the CAD, but can also be part-centric. So normally when you check in your CAD, it creates this EBOM automatically for you. But if you've got the configuration department, they'll normally build the structure on the structure side, and then you basically link your CAD to the structure. And it can also link parts to their related documents, such as specifications, standard operating procedures, manuals, and it can also manage things like substitute and alternative parts. So the replacement parts are easily manageable using There's BOM management configuration. So this is enough to actually capture all the enterprise product information, because it works as like a container that simply links all related information together. So for other corporates that prefers to manage the manufacturing bill of materials separately to engineering BOM, while maintaining the link, Windchill has also a functionality or a function to do that as well. So we know in most cases how the product is manufactured or put together, assembled, is different to how it's designed. So when you designing it, or the actual EBOM mainly focuses on capturing all components required for this product. While the manufacturing BOM or the MBOM or manufacturing department focuses on how to put the product together. So some components on the MBOM side might be the bought out items. It could also include additional information like consumables. So if we need to use a paint to paint one of the components in this product, that can also be created and added onto this MBOM as well. It can also go onto the EBOM. So these are basically things that you can't really design, but they are part of your bit of information. So I will jump onto the system just to show you the engineering change notice and how to basically manage engineering bill of materials in here. So I've now logged onto the Windchill system, and what I'm going to do now is just search for a part number using its number here. Search for it, and then I'll basically just find it on the list here. This is the component that I'm looking for. So if you're looking at this component, you'll realize there's metadata about this component. I can see who last, when it was last modified and by whom, the name of it. And I can also see the state that this component is currently released that we are looking at, which is P3 in this case. But again, if you look at this component here and we hover your mouse over this icon, it tells you that this component is actually undergoing a change. So it is undergoing a change. And again, if you look at this red logo here, it shows you that there is a latest object or a latest revision for this particular component. So we can see now it's currently on the P version, but if I go to latest, it shows me that it's on the R revision, which is the next revision for this particular component. And I can also see that it is under production change at the moment, because it is going this change. So if I want to quickly look at what are the details of this particular ECN that this part is part of, I can simply click on this change icon here, and then it takes me to the changes tab. That will basically list all the change objects that relates to this component. So this is my engineering change notice. So I'll simply click on it. You'll also see that it gives you a number and then also have a name. So it's got its own metadata as well. So things like whether this is now a fast track or a full track change. In this case, it's a full track because it's just a simple change. And we'll dive into this change to just show you what the change is about and other components that actually builds this change notice. So if we scroll down a little bit, it shows us call them affected objects. So these are the objects that are actually being changed. Because we'll see the state of those two components is actually released because we are changing those. And then in the actual implementation plan, I'll also show you how are they going to look as the resulting object once the modification has been done and eventually released. So the next step here, it basically shows us the implementation plan. So these are the tasks or the actions that we go into take to actually action this change. So in this case here, you'd see we actually have one that says we need to update this connecting rod to include the holding bolts. So if I quickly show you how it looks at the moment, if I just simply open up the old components of this, this is how it looks at the moment. It actually doesn't have those fasteners or bolts attached to it. So the whole change is about making sure that we include those bolts into this change. So I'm going to go back to the change and the implementation plan. So yeah, the one activity is to basically go in and update that. And if I go to the details of that task, the implementation plan, it simply tells me or give me the instructions of what needs to happen. You need to modify the assembly in Creo and assemble those two holding bolts and then complete the task. At this moment, I have already done that. I've already completed that task. That is why it is showing that it's under review at the moment. Because once I'm done with this, there's someone who will need to review that I've actually done what I'm supposed to do on that part. But what I'm interested to show you is at the bottom here, you still get the affected objects, which should be the old revision of that. And then the one important thing with the change or the BOM management in Windchill is I can also capture information about the disposition of the part. What actually happened to that part? If it was on order, what did we do with it? Did we cancel the order, or are we gonna use it as is? Or if it was already finished, is this something that we can retrofit, or this is just a waste? It's something that we must just scrap. So that sort of information that's important for auditing purposes, we can actually capture as part of this BOM management in this case. So in this particular one, we're not retrofitting, we're not scraping anything. We're just adding additional items to the BOM, and that's why we're using it as is. Then the resulting objects table here simply shows us what would be the latest revision of this part once the change process has been completed. I can already see now that this is now on R2 revision, which is the next revision in this case. And I also have the bolt assembly, the fastener that we needed to apply or add onto this. So me as a reviewer on this particular task, I can simply open up this file in a tool called CreoView. So CreoView comes standard with every Windchill license. So this is a tool that anyone who's got access to Windchill and user account in Windchill can actually use. It's opening on the other screen. I'm gonna put it to our screen here. So this is how it opens. It's actually opening R2, which is the latest, and the P2, which is the previous revision. So if I want to quickly, as a reviewer, compare and see if we have done what we were supposed to do, I can basically just using this tool, which is a read-only tool, quickly open them side by side and see if what we needed to do as part of this change was actually done. And we can see here on the R2 version, those two bolts have been added on here. But again, there's a couple of things you can do with this tool as well. If, for instance, I want to see what is the diameter of this part of this component, connecting rod component here, I can use some of the tools to do that. I can simply go and say, give me the diameter of that. And then by just doing that, it gives me that information on there. So if I'm someone on the shop floor, I'm not, or a certain measurement is not properly captured on a drawing, I can easily open this up in CreoView and make my measurements and see exactly that sort of information. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this. So we're happy with this. We can see everything has been done. So that looks good. So what I'll then do is, as a reviewer on this process, I'll simply go in and just complete this activity. But there's one thing that I just want to quickly show, that we spoke about visibility, or making sure that everyone who's affected by this change can see this information. And in most cases, some of these departments are not part of the windshield or the PLM system, but they need to be able to see this information. So to be able to see that sort of information, we have a tool at ETRAGE that's called ETRAGE Viewer. So ETRAGE Viewer does a couple of things. So I'll quickly show you the one feature of it, which is the document management, or the output that's coming from Windshield, things like PDF, DXFs, that can be generated and then pushed into the system so that they can be accessed by the shop floor and other departments that might require them. So the first part is to search for that information. So as a shop floor guy, I can simply go in and say, I'm searching for all the drawings in the system. It goes and searches for all the drawings in my system. And then from there, I can simply open up a drawing. And then from there, I can see the metadata about this information that is released. We can actually start using it on the shop floor. If I am someone who machining parts, I know I've got DXF, or I need DXF, I can simply go in and download the DXF file for me. But if someone on the shop floor who just require the PDF, I can simply go in and open up the PDF and just gather information from that PDF drawing, or simply print it from here if I need a hard copy of that PDF. The other thing that's important with this, so if I just quickly go back to the drawing, you'll see that this drawing has got the drawing notes in here. So the system has also got a function to index these drawing notes. And the importance of being able to index those drawing notes is so that I can also search with the drawing notes. If I remember that in the drawing notes, there is a supplier for this particular steel, I can search for that supplier that is in the drawing note using that session, and it will give me exactly a drawing of the parts. Sorry, the drawing that's actually related to that drawing notes metadata. So as far as the change goes, I just wanted to quickly firstly show you that change notice again. I'll go back to the change notice. I'm going to show you that the name of this change notice here is that, and then that is the number for the change notice. So every time, or as soon as we generate the change notice and there's changes happening with the change notice, it's actually pushing that information into this system as well. So from here, I can see the details of that change notice. So this is the one task that we were looking at now that is under review. You can simply go in and see the details of this task. You can see it's under review, who was assigned to do this task, who is the reviewer of this task, and what were the affected objects, and also the resulting object for this particular task. The nice thing with this is, because the related information already exists in this particular system, I can simply from here just click on that information icon and it takes me directly to that version of this component. And if I am someone who's looking for this component, I can also see that this component is also linked to a specific change. So before I use it, I can simply go in and check if this change is actually resolved or still in the implementation process. So in this case, it's in implementation process, which means we know there is a later version of this that's coming. And also from here, I can also see that there is latest version, which is R2, that is coming, and it's still under the production change. So to just show you that this actually updates in real time, I'm going to go in and update this task here by completing the review. The review, this was the items that I've already looked at in Creo view. So everything looks good. I can say, just add a comment that says, looks good, and then complete that activity. And as that's done, the change that I've just done now is now being pushed to the viewer. that update. So if I refresh here and just go back to that file over there, you would see that the state of this file is now resolved. So it's been completed. Now we can move ahead and complete the other activities, and then eventually complete the change notice as well. So I'm just gonna go and just complete the entire process now. So the next one is usually saying or telling the guys on the manufacturing side to say the EBOM is now done or updated. Just make sure that you update your manufacturing view or the manufacturing BOM with this latest files, and then once that's done, you'll go in and submit it for review. So I'm done in this case. So I'm gonna go in and just complete this task. And then what's gonna come next would be someone from manufacturing who would need to go in and review that the change has actually been done and done in a properly way. Then once they're happy, they'll complete the task. And then if they're not happy or they feel there's additional things that needs to be updated, they'll send it back for rework. So in this case, we're happy with everything. We'll complete that task, and that is now done. So if I go back to my change notice, you will realize that it is now resolved. So this is now completed. And if I go back in here, refresh, I sit still in the implementation phase. And the reason for that is because in the background, the data that we've just released, it has been processed by a system that we call a ETRAGE PSW processor. This system is actually listening into Windchill for these files getting released, going to the release state, and then we process them and then push those output files into the ETRAGE viewer. So you'll see once this is now completed, it should then also update the ECN. So there's a couple of ways you can set this up depending on your business processes. If you only want to listen when a part or an assembly or a component goes into a prototype or released, you want it to create. Other customers would prefer to have it create every time it changes state. So yeah, now that is done. If I go back to our change notice, it should update that change notice to resolved now. So it is resolved. And again, if you go to the bottom part here, which is the resulting object, and I go to that connecting what, you can see now it's been updated. And you can also see from the previous version that this one has got those two bolts next to them as well. Automatically created the IGES file, the step file that could be used downstream. And by just looking at this, I can see the task in the ECN that was assigned to this has also been resolved. So this part is ready to be used downstream. So that's simply making sure that everyone can see and view what is happening with the change. Because one important thing with that is you want to make sure that the change that you're actually doing, you also notify the departments that gets impacted by it. You do a proper impact analysis, a proper cost analysis. If this component is used in other assemblies, you might want to check what will be the impact of the change when you do it. That is why it's very important that everyone can see the change and be part of the change in a single source of truth. So this actually gives you that, and also gives the other department ability to see the same data using the simplified tool called ETRAGE Viewer. That is what I wanted to cover as far as change management goes. So I'll quickly touch on the bill of material as well. So I have an assembly or a product or a complete product that's called the crankshaft assembly. That connecting rod is actually part of it. And you'll see if I expand that connecting rod, that bolt that we newly added is actually reflected in this bill of material. So by accessing this information in here, you know you're actually working with the latest releases information at all material types. And again, the main thing I wanted to show you here is I'm just going to expand everything on this and then select everything. So as I said, this is your BOM, which is also a product structure that acts as a container for all related data. So I can simply go in here and say, just show me all the documents, CAD, replacement parts that are related to this particular product. So by simply doing that, it goes and pulls all this information for me, listed on this structure as well. So I can see there's reference documents here. There is a specification document, the owner's manual document, FMEA worksheet, requirements document. There's a drawing that's linked to this. This file here is for the ERP. So whenever I make changes through the change ECN and release it, it then pushes this file out where the ERP system can actually capture it or capture this structure and put it into the ERP without having to manually create the same structure in the ERP. That opens room for errors and so on. So it will automatically push that information or the structure to the ERP as well. That can also be used downstream. The other important thing I wanted to also show here is under this piston part. So what we can also do here is you can create a replacement parts for this. So there's one that I've created that is called a part alternate, which simply means where this piston is being used, if that piston is not available, we can use this part for it. So it makes it easy for the guys in the shop floor when they need to deviate from the initial bill of material. So they get there, they realize this piston, the PRT part, is not in stock, is not in stores, we can't really find it, and time is against us. They can easily look at the system to see what are the other replacement parts that goes with it. And then they can immediately see, okay, we can actually use piston 1, 2, 3, the PRT number for the same purpose, because form fit function is exactly the same. The other information or important information that you can also capture as part of your bill of material is the approved manufacturing list and approved vendor list. So in this case, I can see that whenever we need to buy out a piston, this will be the supplier that is approved for this particular component. And I can see that this vendor over there, we cannot use. Maybe the reason is because this part from this particular vendor failed our audit a couple of times. Now we can't use it anymore. In our system, we don't need to use it anymore because the material used there is not reliable. So you can basically go in and mark it as do not use. And just to quickly show you how to capture that sort of information in the system is from the part itself. I can go to the AML and AVL page here, and I can add those supplier components. And not only that, I can also add the names for those suppliers. So I can see, okay, if we need to buy out this particular component, this is our go-to supplier for this. And then from here I can see, okay, this is the vendor that creates this particular component, and we must definitely stay away from this supplier. Then finally, once this is released, what normally is the process is our ECN at the very end will notify someone in the purchasing department to say the BOM has been released and ready. So they can simply go in and create a bill of material report out of this. So I can simply go in and create a multi-level BOM. With this, I can also capture the attributes that I need. If I've got the material attribute, then I know it's important for purchasing. I've got the any other material or any other attribute that goes with this that I think would be important for purchasing department. I can capture that and create a view with all that information, and from there I can simply just export this out to any of these. I'll just export it to PDF for this purpose. Escape, yeah. This is the bill of material. So from here they can basically use this to purchase or send out to the suppliers using this structure. The other important thing with bill of material, so this will be my last point on this, is I can, I'm just going to hide this additional information on here. So the other thing could be what we talked about earlier. So things that you need for your bill of material, but you can't necessarily design in GRI or in any application, but you need them to be part of this BOM. An example in this case is paint. So I can simply, from just here, go in and insert a new component, a new part. You see it checks out that top level one because we're adding it at that level. And then you can go and pick the part that the part type that I want to add. So in this case, it's just a normal part. And I'm just going to give it a number and name. So let's just say this is paint 123, paint 123. This is something we're going to buy out, and it is a manufacturing component. So there's additional attributes that you can also capture that goes with that. So things like description, yellow paint, yeah, that sort of information you can capture in that part and then finish. So my part is now added onto this structure in here. So it is not showing me the details like the released or is it in the work state and its revision. It is because this view only shows me the design information of this. So what I'll do is just edit my structure here to show me the manufacturing view as well. Production. So yeah, you'll notice now the paint has got that information on it. You can see it's a manufacturing view. You can see it's a revision as well. I mean, the other example is the software. So if you are building a product that needs a software, like a vehicle, that would need a software. You can't really design the software, but what you can do is you can add a software part like this, and then basically link the software binary to that particular part. Then you actually captured all the bit of information that goes with that particular product. Yeah, there is a lot of things that you can actually do with this, but this is all I had prepared for you for today. So I am going to go back to my slides over here. And I'm just going to quickly reiterate the use or the importance of using BOM management. So EBOM and MBOM in this instance is it assists you in capturing in your bill of material the commercial off-the-shelf components that you don't or you can't really model, and also making sure that you can link it to all the related documents, information such as packaging, shipping, labeling. You can use that bill of material also to capture that sort of information. And again, as I said, the MBOM or the manufacturing might want to manipulate and rearrange the bill of materials to suit how they actually build or assemble a component or assemble the product. So it allows them to do that without actually affecting the initial CAD. So we're not impacting anything that engineering is doing, but whatever they're doing upstream, we can leverage downstream and use in our latest in our BOMs. And also replacement parts that you can manage, the supplier, approved supplier, approved vendor components that you can manage. And again, with those replacement parts that I've mentioned, it assists you to capture the S-build. So these guys are on the shop floor, they realize part one is not there, but they realize they can use part two. That is a deviation, but that captures the right S-build configuration of that product. And so the system allows you to capture that, and also the S-maintained. So you can serialize some components, and then as you replace them while they're out in the field, you can have a part instance that sort of mimics that particular component in the field and release those serialized components on that bill of material to maintain the S-maintained configuration of that part. And lastly, just the benefits of the ECN. The main one that we've stressed a lot on was the visibility. You want to make sure all the parties that are impacted by this change are aware, or they can add their feedback or into the change. Also help in sort of deciding if the change is worth going ahead with, or is it going to be an expensive change, or the change that's going to delay getting the product out the door. And obviously with that, you have traceability. I can always go back and see why the change happened. Reduces errors in a sense that we're no longer using out of the data. We're always working with latest information, and we get notified if something changes and something is released. That obviously converts into the cost, basically save money from there, and again, increasing time to market. If we have this streamlined process that we can follow, or the structured process that we can follow all the time, it makes it easy to execute the change. That is all I wanted to cover. So, Shahid, if there are any questions, I am ready.
Yeah, just a reminder, if you do have any questions, there's that question mark, which is the question and answers icon. Go ahead and place your questions there. Ephraim, I actually had a question.
Okay.
I was wondering, you talked a little bit there at the end about the benefits of ECN. Can you add though, like if you were to buy into an ETRAGE solution because you want to eliminate who's accessing your Windchill environment for whatever reason you have, but you want to get more eyes on it, what are the benefits? Like, why would you have executives who are not necessarily touching an ECN want to have eyes on it, or manufacturing or procurement? What's the benefits to the organization by having that increased visibility?
Right. So I mean, for executives and I mean other departments, it's to basically understand the impact of the change itself. I mean, someone who is the project manager, we want to see, or we want to make sure that the project itself doesn't go over time, or it doesn't go over budget. So you wanna make sure you control that. And then for the people on the shop floor, because they want to make sure they're always working with the latest and greatest drawings, it sort of helps them see if a drawing or a component is actually going or undergoing change. So yeah, that is the benefit of actually having that data in the ETRAGE viewer for them to actually see.
And if they don't, what are some of the challenges that come up when other departments are unaware of changes to a component?
Right. So, I mean, one of the things is if you're thinking about the stores now where the components are stored, some of the issues there might be the components that we're replacing this particular part with. It is not in stores. So we'll still need to buy that. We don't have it in store. So if we don't have this visibility, we don't know what to actually order. Same goes with purchasing. They won't be able to know what to order. But if the guys on the shop floor does not have visibility to this information, so they can't see if this particular drawing is undergoing change, what they're going to do is they will basically work with the drawing that's released that day. It's actually outdated according to the PLM system, but they will carry on working with that component and basically build the wrong component. And we know what that leads to: delays, scrap. Yeah, so that could be the issues there.
Thanks. While we give you a few more minutes, let's go ahead and share with folks some of our upcoming events. We do have webinars scheduled for July after the holiday, as well as August. And additionally, we have some training opportunities for anyone hiring and needing to onboard new Creo users or any new Windchill administrators or Windchill administrators who would like to beef up their understanding of the system and all the amazing things you can do inside of Windchill. All right. At this time, we have no additional questions. So I want to thank everyone again for attending. If you do have any questions after today, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're reachable from our website, ETRAGE.com. And yeah, we'll see you after the 4th of July holiday for our next ETRAGE webinar. Thanks.